Welcome back to the Lights Out podcast. Bedtime stories for boys and girls around the world for when the lights go out. Good evening, boys and girls. Are you ready for bed? Are you all snuggled up, tucked up, wrapped up nice and warm and ready for another Lights Out bedtime story? You've been waiting for this one, chapter 7 of Fing by David Williams. And this chapter is called Ancient, Obscure and Bizarre. To his relief, Mr. Meek found a candle and a box of old matches halfway down the stairs. His hands trembling uncontrollably, he passed them to his wife, who struck a match and lit the candle. Strike! The flickering light illuminated the shelves and shelves of dusty old leather-bound books. The library vaults were a treasure trove of titles that were ancient, obscure, and bizarre. There were thousands of books down there, all of them long out of print. Poisonous cheeses of the British Isles, terrifying tales for children, the bumper book of medieval torture, hymns to make your ears bleed, painting of puddles, odes to stinging nettles, phlegm, a pictorial guide, cats crying at Christmas, how to drown a witch in 5 easy steps, a dictionary of non-existent words. Oof, ye old book of knock-knock jokers, cooking with rare birds' eggs, the foulest smells of Victorian London, a scratch and sniff book, disgusting diseases for dogs. Oh, David, how did you come up with these titles? Cake recipes of religious martyrs in Latin, 10,000 tedious poems, the Book of Grots, a short history of socks, a long history of socks, beards, the Bible, a spotter's guide, chamber pots of the rich and famous. Oh my gosh! Oof. One by one, Mr. and Mrs. Meek pulled the books from the shelves. With just a candle to read by, they searched the millions upon millions of words for any reference to Fing. Just as they were about to lose hope, Mr. Meek thought he saw something move out the corner of his eye. "What was that?" he whispered. "What was what?" she asked. Something moved. Maybe it was a rat. I hate rats. With a candle, Mrs. Meek illuminated a dingy corner of the vaults. Indeed, something was moving underneath a pile of old newspapers. Rustle, rustle, rustle. She pushed her husband towards it to investigate further. "Go on." "I am going. Lift up the newspaper and see," suggested Mrs. Meek. "No, after you. Oh, for goodness sake, let's not start all that again." Reluctantly, Mr. Meek lifted the old damp sheets of paper. To his surprise, all that was underneath was a book. "It's a book. Books can't move," she replied. "This one did. What's it called?" Mr. Meek peered down to study the spine. The title sent chills through him. It's called The Monsterpedia. The end of chapter 7 of Fing by David Williams, and that was the end of part 1 here on the Lights Out podcast. Bedtime stories for boys and girls around the world. Stay tuned for part 2, chapter 8, The Monsterpedia. See you tomorrow. Good night.